Hi everyone, a quick video to demonstrate the difference between a recovery traction ramp, in this case Maxtrax, a Waffle board and a flexible traction ramp down the bottom. So first off, the rubber traction Mk. So these are pretty much like a tank track, so you can sort of wrap them up like that. The traction on them isn't too bad. They do have raised blocks like that, but you can see there's a bit of damage to them, and I haven't really used them a hell of a lot. That one's sort of a bit damaged there, and there's a couple more as well. But they are rubber and they do grip. The disadvantage though is there's no flotation. The problem you get, if we put a tyre here, tyre presses down and then that happens. So there's no flotation like you get with the stiffer traction ramp or with the Waffle board. So overall, yeah, they're better than nothing, but there are much better options. Traction board versus Waffle board, and with the traction board you can see that we've got a careful design here. Each one of these knurls is designed to give traction. You've got this deep sort of groove down the middle there. With the Waffle board, nothing, it's really just a flat cross section, and that's it. And yes, there's some anti-slip coating there, but to be frank, that's not really going to do anything if you've got a tyre full of mud. So traction board absolutely wins there. Now on the robustness side, this has had a reasonable amount of use, not as much as the Maxtrax though, and it's already started to get damaged and basically just disintegrate here. And even when I put the vehicle's weight on it, it also started to disintegrate here, and obviously this is fiberglass, so it's brittle and really not great for your hands either. On the other hand, this is made of plastic, and you know, it has been used a fair bit, but you'd never know. It's really looking in almost perfect condition. Now, as far as flotation is concerned, you can see with the traction ramp, there's a lot of flotation device. You push that down and you're going to be hard pressed to push that down into soft surface. You push this down and what you find is that the sand and everything else just comes up in the middle there, and the surface area is nowhere near as much as what you might think it is. So this gives you much better flotation in soft conditions than that does. And then we come to the problem of actually needing to roll a wheel onto the top of it. Okay, so rolling a tyre onto the Waffle board, you can see there's actually there's no way to easily get the tyre up on top to the Waffle board, and you're thinking, well, come on, that's only just a tiny little step. Believe me, that could be the difference between being able to move forwards or not. You want it as smooth and easy as possible to get on top of your ramp like that. Right, I contrast that to the traction ramp, and you can see there that it's much easier for the tyre to roll on top of the traction ramp than it is on top of the Waffle board. The Waffle board does have one advantage over the traction ramps, and that's the fact that it's longer. It's about 1500 mil long. This is only about 1150. So if you did need to bridge something over a long gap, then that would obviously be superior just by sheer of extra length. But if we look at how many you can take, to be able to take 4 of these is quite an effort. You can really only put them on the roof rack, and they are relatively heavy, whereas with the traction ramps we can actually stack them very easily as well. So if I put that up there, you can see you can just put another one on top and that becomes one unit, and then you can take 3 or 4. Now there's many situations off-road where you're going to need traction, extra traction on all 4 wheels, and to do that with Waffle ramps is actually quite difficult. The reason is because they're so long, to get them in between the front and rear wheels is quite tricky, to say nothing of the logistics of carrying actually 4 of them, whereas to carry 4 of these, it's a hell of a lot lighter and a lot less bulky. These fit in the back of the average four-wheel drive wagon. The Waffle boards absolutely do not. Now if we also turn them over as well, you can see here that the traction ramp has got non-slip surfaces. These little knurls here stop the thing sliding around. The Waffle board has got absolutely nothing. It's completely smooth. There's nothing to stop it sliding around there. All it seems to do is get damaged, as I showed you before there. Now when you put one of these down, whichever one it is, you want it to stay where it is. You don't want to slide around on rocks or mud or sand, and this tends to stay put by and large. And also it's a little bit more flexible as well, so you know, you've got a bit of flexibility in it, which is great. This is not flexible, it's brittle, which is not great. And also it's got handles here, you can pull it out, you can even link them together. It's just basically a more versatile tool. So traction ramps versus waffle boards. So first criteria, traction. The traction ramp's got a specially designed surface. The waffle board's just got a mesh and some non-slip, so clear wind to the traction ramps. Then for flotation, the traction ramps really do spread the load of the tyre very well. The waffle boards have a larger area, but because they've got a mesh design, it actually significantly reduces their flotation. So clear wind again to the traction ramps. Now for slip on the ground, underneath the traction ramp they've got knuckles, and again a design which is basically designed to grip the ground, whereas the waffle board's completely flat surface, so another wind to the traction ramps. Now are they stackable or not? Yes, the traction ramps are stackable, so you can make 2 or 3 or 4. Once you've got 4, they can definitely take the weight of a vehicle as a bridge, or you can use it to just create an extra bit of ground clearance. The waffle boards, they're not stackable. You can put them on top of each other obviously, but there's nothing to hold them in place, so a wind to the traction ramps. Now for manoeuvrability, what I mean by that is the ability to put it in odd places underneath the vehicle, between the front and the rear tyres, that sort of thing. The traction ramps are easy to position because they've got handles, they're relatively light, and they're not that long, and you can jam them into position, whereas the waffle boards, no, they're long, heavy and inflexible, much harder to put them between, let's say, front and rear tyres. So another win to the traction ramps. Then for robustness, well, what I've seen, these traction ramps pretty much nearly unbreakable. I've been using them for many years in many different situations, and I haven't broken my current set at all, either of them. I've got 2 different sets. The waffle boards, yeah, I've used them less, but immediately their brittleness basically started to splinter and chunks started to disappear from the boards there, so nowhere near as robust. So another win to the traction ramps. So for weight, the 2 traction ramps are 7 kilograms a pair. I would take 4 always, so that's 14 kilograms for me there. 20 kilograms for a pair for the waffle boards, that's 40 kilograms for 2, so significantly extra weight there. So again, another win to the traction ramps. Now for length, 1150 on the traction ramps, 1500 on the waffle boards. That's really got to be a tick for both of them, because I think sometimes you might want something as long as 1500 mil, but in my experience, really 1150 has been all I've ever needed, but I'm just going to give them both a tick because it will be pros and cons. Now for ease of storage, absolutely you can take the traction ramps and you can put 4 of them inside the car or outside the car, they do fit. But with 1500 long, well, you know, that's really just a roof rack only there, so another win to the traction ramps. So which is best used for what? Well, the traction mat, frankly, that's best left in the shelf. Really, there's not a huge amount of point to having it. It gives a little bit of extra traction, but almost no extra flotation, and it's not that robust. Waffle boards, really, the only time I'd want to use them is when you really need that length of 1500 mil, which I think is almost never, and I'm not really sure I'd want to trust the entire weight of my vehicle to one of those either. So for everything else, it's the traction boards, mud, sand, rock, snow, absolutely everywhere. They're kind of one of my go-to recovery devices, and yeah, if I had to just take one item, that'd probably be the traction boards, maybe a shovel as well, but yeah, can't recommend highly enough taking 4 of them wherever you're going to be going off-roading in the world. So I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel for more content on 4-wheel drives, cars, towing and whatever else I find interesting.